this time in my life. It's such a beautiful thing. And it's very unique. There's some temples have outside on the top of the door, they'll say, those who enter will die. There was this court case a number of years ago, and I'm not sure what state it was in. I don't know the exact details, but I'll never forget this after I heard it. This youngster had killed this other youngster. They were, one was in the gangs and the other one was just a bystander. And the mother of the child who was killed said to that person that was being led away after the sentencing, she says, "I'm going to kill you." Well, she did kill him. She befriended him and raised him. He wasn't the same person. She killed that person who was wrapped up in the gangs, who was wrapped up in that world. That person no longer was walking around living. She befriended him and she became, she would visit him, talk with him, and adopted him, I believe. I believe she adopted him. I found that so wonderful. Because she really did kill that boy. And what did she kill? What did she kill? Well, when we all walk in here, what are we killing? What do you think? We're killing. We're killing the knowing mind. We're killing that ego, that person we think we are, or we think we should be. Just on a side note, in my home, I harbor 5 murderers. 5 of them are in my home. Nobody of my loved ones, that's for sure. But there are 5 murderers in there, as far as I know. And I'll get to that in a minute. So one of the things when I had been uh, studying or practicing, uh, when uh, when we talk about ignorance, and ignorance uh, leads to becoming and then rebirth and so on. And I've always got stuck on this word ignorance. Ignorant of what? What am I ignorant of? I mean, I know a lot of things. I know, gravity, and I know you got to go to school and all of these things, right? I'm not ignorant. Ignorant of what? And it had bothered me for quite a while because nobody walking on this earth is really ignorant. They might not be uneducated, but they got to go about their life. They got to walk around, and they got to be able to be in part of society, right? So what does Buddha mean by that? So it's not merely a lack of knowledge, but it's ignorance. Ignorance is a distortion of perception. Then I got it. Ignorance in the Buddhist context is ignorance as a distortion of perception, not understanding the way things work, not understanding the way things are. So, what are the three things that are really important to know? Is impermanence, right? Suffering, and no self, right? So these three things are, when you dive into them, they help relieve understanding of ignorance. They help pierce that for you. So non-self, um, non-self is the paradox, because I'm here, you're here, we're here, and we have a personality and we have these things, and yet it's not a permanent state. It's always changing. It's always in flux. It's always moving. Um, those paradoxes are a big mystery, like the five murderers in my house. Big mystery. It's a big, I don't know. How do we live with mystery? How do you live with mystery, not knowing? How do you live with not knowing what happens after we die? How do you live with these questions of who am I really? Where do we bring that for ourselves? Your world consists of your mind and your thinking, right? So you're projecting outward and you're taking in and projecting your world. Where you sit is very unique, a place for sight, sound, hear, taste, touch, body. Your mind is there. I'm here. So mine's very different from yours. A collective experience for sure, but we're very unique in that way. Um, so what do we do with these mysteries, these unsolvables? The koans are the best thing. I love koans. I'm terrible at them, but I love them. The koans are questions that are unsolvable. You can mull on them forever. And one koan I've had for years, and is who knows. I was given that one long while ago, and I just sit on that because it always changes. The answer for me always changes. It's never the same. God knows, mom knows, I know, I don't know, who knows. So, what is it that we do to find that mystery or to have some insight into these things? No answers. There are no answers that they're going to just walk up to you and say, yes, this is it. We kill the ego, we kill the knowing mind. A good Buddhist saying, Zen saying is, when you see the Buddha, kill him, right? And that's exactly what that means, is you kill that ego. You kill that, knowing. But it's hard to do, very hard to do. And I can share an experience with you if you might want to take this in. There was a atheist who was walking, and he was on a plateau high in the high plains in let's say in Mexico, where they have these high plains and these cliffs. and he was walking on the edge, and he slipped, and he was falling and falling, and then there's happened to be this tree branch out there, and he grabs onto it, and then he said to himself, well, I know that there's not a God that's going to save me, but if there is, I'll maybe ask for help this time. And so he said, okay, God, if you're out there, please, can you help me? And nothing happened. No, nothing. Didn't hear any voice or anything. And he says, no, really, I'm serious now. Just if you could just, if you're out there, just. And God said to him in a moving voice, he said, well, I could, but I know that as soon as I do, you're not going to believe me in me anymore. And the guy's hanging on, and he says, no, really, I will, I promise, I promise. So they go back and forth for a little while because God's not so sure he's going to believe in him. And finally, God says, okay, just let go of the branch and I'll save you. No, wait. Now, when I heard that for the first time, I loved it because I sat with it. Can I let go of that branch and trust? What is going to die? It's something to really contemplate and think with. Because the deeper you go into that, the more experience you have. This is another koan that I love, and I'll throw out there. And some of you may have heard it already. But this goes into the conundrum of thinking. Imagine a goose placed in a jar, a glass jar, as a gosling, as a young one. As it grows, it seems trapped, but breaking the jar would harm the goose. How can the goose be freed without breaking the jar or harming the goose? That's the question. How does that goose get out? Break it, you hurt it. You can't break it. How does it get out? Something to think about. The senses are very well. Some of my practice is trying to pulling myself out of the sense experience and being the watcher of the sense experience. And when you're concentrating, that can be difficult. So when you're really enjoying a piece of chocolate, you're into that chocolate, it's not always easy to pull yourself out and be a witness to that because it's alluring, it brings you in. And the sense experience can't be trusted. as far as a guide, as far as a way of getting an answer for yourself. It's certainly there to allow you to experience the world, but you can't rely on your sight necessarily to know exactly, because your eyes go bad, and then eventually you get glasses, and right. So sight doesn't always work. Right? Hearing, well, depending on if you're listening to loud music or something, that's going to be variable. Right? Tasting, your taste buds change over time. Tactile, maybe some days you're going to be more sensitive than others. Right? So the truth is when we literally drop everything we think we know. And that's what God was saying to that man hanging onto the tree, the branch. Let go and I'll save you. Drop it. Yeah. Um, it's a colorful world we live out there and we live in. It's very colorful, and it's going to take all kinds of shapes. It's going to take all kinds of forms. It's going to do all kinds of things, and we're going to be all part of it. And it's something to enjoy and to embrace. And it's not going to make any sense. A lot of it's not going to make any sense. But the universe doesn't owe us anything to make sense of anything. We're a part of that experience. We are a part of that experience. We are that experience. So, who are the 5 murderers in my home? I bet you might even have them in your home. Who could they be? Well, we played the game Clue the other day, and it ended up being Miss Scarlet, Professor Plum, Mr. Green, Colonel Mustard, and who's the other one?
Miss White.
Miss White. Yes. There's murderers in my home. Our mind creates all kinds of fun stuff. It's beautiful. So sit on, how would you get that goose